Well, hey there, welcome in for more Drummer Daily. I'm Daniel Hadaway. This is episode number 160. I'm certainly happy that you're here. I'm happy that I'm here. I know that last week, if you're following along in real time, last week we didn't have any podcast episodes go up. That was by design. It was my wedding anniversary last week, and that kind of happened right in the middle of the week. And so I kind of had this space outlined as being a little break for me, and then just kind of on either side of that, taking that time off, had some other things kind of get in the way, and so I was like, you know what, I need to take a week off from posting the podcast, and so I did. But I'm back now, and I'm happy I'm here with you. So today, I was able to. I think it would have been by now, maybe 2 weeks ago. I was doing one of my drum intensives, and that's where I have someone come in. They hang out with me for a couple of days in the studio. We do a lot of work on drumming and recording recording drums in the studio, tuning, kind of everything you can imagine that goes into being a pro drummer. We kind of go through that in a really intense 2-day period. But while I was doing that last week with the guy that was here, something came up. We were talking about something else, and I ended up bringing this up, and I thought, hey, that's something really cool to share with everyone on the podcast. So that's what I'm going to do with you today. So what I wanted to share with you is this. I realized that I have, just through my own life experiences as a drummer, especially playing at church a lot, where you're playing. You're playing every week in a church service, and you're learning at least a couple of new songs every week. That's not, necessarily normal outside of that world. And I know there's a lot of you who listen to the podcast who don't play at church or haven't played at church or whatever that is. And so I thought there's an interesting perspective that I have, maybe that some of you may not. And that is, a lot of us tend to approach learning new songs or thinking about drumming, even if we're coming up with something new. Maybe it's not learning a new song that someone else has played. Maybe it's just coming up with drum parts for a song on our own, just being creative. A lot of us think of a drum part as a collection. So like if we're going to play a song, there's going to be a verse. Let's just say there's an intro, there's a verse, there's a pre-chorus, a chorus, then another verse, then another chorus, then a bridge, and then a chorus at the end of the song. Kind of like a basic structure of a song. A lot of us think of what we're going to play in a song as, I'm going to play this in the intro, and then I'm going to play this in the verse, and then I'm going to play this in the pre-chorus, and then this part of the chorus, and then this part in the second verse. And the way we think about playing drum parts or coming up with drum parts is it's a collection of sections. So it's, and they all aren't really related. It's like basically, if you have 10 different sections in a song, really each of those 10 sections, we think of those as like 10 little mini songs that may not have much relation to each other. And so we basically have 10 parts we have to memorize. Well, that's not the way that I think about coming up with drum parts, and it's not the way that I think about memorizing drum parts either, if there's someone else's drum parts that I'm trying to learn. I think of it much more like, what is the kind of the bone structure of a song? What is the backbone of a song? The same way, people always say drums are the backbone of a song. What is a repeating rhythmic kind of pattern? What is something that's going on in the song that kind of rhythmically that underlies everything? And maybe that doesn't change. So as a drummer, maybe it's a kick drum pattern, or it's a bass line of a kick drum pattern. Maybe we'll add more kicks on top of that at some point, but there's a bass line of kick hits that don't go away throughout the whole song. maybe the drum pattern as a whole, the accents are the same, and maybe that's something that the accents are the same, and it's a 4-bar pattern that repeats throughout the whole song. The accents are the same, maybe the drums they're placed or the cymbals they're placed on are different, and there's still drum fills and things that kind of go around it. There's window dressing that kind of goes around it, but the core is the same. That's what I think about when I come up with a drum pattern for a song, or I try to memorize someone else's drumming. I think of what is the base backbone of this that doesn't change, that sticks throughout, and then I add things on top of it. And not only does that make it a lot easier to memorize if I'm memorizing somebody else's, or even if I'm trying to memorize what I came up with for a song, but it actually, I think, makes it's more effective most of the time from a drumming perspective, from a rhythmic perspective, from the perspective of what works musically and what normally is going to be a good choice for drumming in the context of a song. It is, what is the bass line that I can lay down, and a lot of times we don't deviate too far from that. We just add a few things here on, we add some sparkle and some pizzazz on top of that bass line. And I just think that's a much better way to go about creating drum parts. And again, this is my opinion, but I think that my approach to creating parts like that is the reason why I ever get hired to play drums or get asked to play drums on anything. It's because I think that's what most songwriters are looking for, and that is what most producers are looking for. Most people who are hiring drummers are looking for drummers who approach songs in that manner. So if you're looking to become more musical in your drumming, if you're looking to get hired as a drummer, or even if you're just looking to expand what you're doing as a drummer beyond maybe what you're doing now, go down this path a little bit and see how it turns out for you. And maybe you'll discover something that you like. And I certainly would suggest you do this if you are faced with the task of trying to create new drum parts and you're kind of feeling stuck as far as inspiration goes, or also if you are tasked with memorizing someone else's drumming, either for playing cover songs or in a cover band or playing at church or whatever reason it might be, that might be a approach to take that will actually work. But that's all I've got for you today. I appreciate you listening, and we will talk again very soon on Drummer Daily. Bye for now.